they became all Cloud9 fans?
No, they were all losers. You have grown substantially since that point. Probably faster than any other league content creator starting from the ground up that is in the industry right now.
What do you mean? Just ask David how he feels. What do you mean? How do I feel for David? People thought I'd be pissed, like mad at you. I think the past 2, maybe 3 years, you've done more for 100 Thieves than any of their signed content creators, at least in League of Legends scene.
Let's go, let's move, side to side, let's go. Let's go, let's move.
I'm joined here by the one and only David. David, how do you feel with 100 Thieves actually making it to the finals weekend?
Scared.
Scared? Elaborate.
Every time we make it to finals since we won in 2021, we get our ass kicked in the stadium. Like, we barely beat out an EG with Kaori instead of Danny in a 5-game series, and then we got 3-0 swept in finals. And now we're here again with guys who have never been here before. And as much shit as I want to talk to FlyQuest fans right now, there's a pit in the bottom of my stomach that I cannot shake. It's like I'm trying to talk shit, but I can't because I'm terrified that we're going to get, like, mollywopped in these series. Not that I don't think that we can't beat them. I do think we can. I'm just scared.
The biggest story I heard, at least in my comments, I did an interview with River after they beat C9, and everyone was just talking about, like, why aren't you giving 100 Thieves credit? You know, Cloud9 sure choked, but 100 Thieves played up. Do you think it was more of a choke or more of a overperformance by 100?
Okay, here's my thing. What were you predicting for the series prior to a single game being played?
I mean, on disputing everything, I said 100 Thieves would win, but that's also because I heard Cloud9 were getting destroyed in scrims.
Okay, prior to you hearing that rumor.
Oh, C9.
And what was the community predicting?
C9, 3-0.
They were slumping coming into that series, were they not?
Yeah, they were.
And everybody knew that they were slumping. And still pick 100 Thieves pretty convincingly.
C9, not them.
Everybody still picked C9 convincingly.
So it's a C9 choke.
No, it's 100 Thieves stepping up as well. Because even though C9 was on the downward trend, people already knew that. They were still saying that they would be better. 100 Thieves has to elevate because even if C9's coming down here and 100 Thieves realistically was like climbing up a little bit towards the end of the season and kind of fell off with the Dig series where people were like, okay, neither one of these two teams is beating Cloud9. Even if C9 fell to here, 100 Thieves still had to rise to beat them. So it's a combination of both, which I think is like fair. And I don't think anybody will disagree with that. But I don't think that people were fully giving 100 Thieves credit. We play well. We got Monte Cristo to admit that Alo played well.
That was incredible.
That's a dub. That's a dub.
Yeah, Ayla's like reversing his career. Even though he had some of the worst play I've ever seen, he's outplaced Vulcan ever since Vulcan like trash talked Ayla. He's beat him time and time and time again. He's gone to the teams that Vulcan was on and done better with them. Like, this is insane.
Vulcan has never been on 100 Thieves, and luckily we found Ayla, so we don't need Vulcan. So we're fine. We have the Kryptonite. Whatever team Vulcan's on, we get a free win now every time. At least when it matters. Maybe not in regular season, but hey, C9, congrats. You won the games in regular season. Where are you at now?
All right, so then if you guys lose 3-0, like completely get stomped, would you be disappointed?
No. We're going to Worlds.
So then why are you scared?
Because I have stakes in this now when I didn't have stakes in it before. Like, if you were a fan coming into these weekends of one of the 3 teams and you don't have that pit in your stomach, like, are you really, like, truly caring about the moment, in my opinion? Like, for me, you should have an element of nerves. Tiger Woods, every time he stepped on the course for a major, still had nerves. Like, regardless of whether he was favored or anything else, he still always had nerves. So you should have them as a fan. Even if I'm really confident, I would still be nervous that we choke. Or in this case, I'm nervous that we'll even put up a game. So
what would you consider a success for 100 Thieves going into these games?
anything other than 0-3.
What if it's like a super competitive 0-3?
Anything other than 0-3. An 0-3 is an 0-3. I do not give a crap. Like, I want to win a game. But I'll sit here and honestly tell you that I think that we can win that series 3-2. But, like, I will take into account all scenarios. So I just don't want the 0-3, but I'm obviously hoping and, quite frankly, expecting a 3-2 100 Thieves.
You're expecting... This is what you call cope, by the way.
It's not cope. Dead serious. I was dead serious when I picked 100 Thieves to win before you knew your scrim rumors over C9.
Oh, I knew scrim rumors the moment 100 Thieves beat Dig. That's when I first started hearing of them.
Okay. I had faith coming into the league. I was shit-talking C9 fans systematically every single day leading up to that point.
But you were doing it for fun. Come on.
I mean, a little bit of fun, sure. And I just genuinely, cannot stand C9. I love, to be clear, I like them as an org and what they bring in terms of value for the LCS. But I will not shy away from the fact that, like, me and C9 fans, we don't get along for whatever reason. And I just, at this point, I stopped trying to be nice and just embraced it and was like, fuck it. I'll be the heel to them in the same way that, like, everybody was the heel to TSM fans for a long period of time.
Do you agree that C9 fans used to be super cool when we had TSM fans, and now that there are no TSM fans, they became all Cloud9 fans?
No, they were all losers. Because, okay, not all of them, but majority of them. Because think about it, if you were the cool kid, you went to TSM. If you liked to talk shit and you were the rambunctious crowd that, like, went to bars, was like your traditional sports fan, you went to TSM. If you were like the passionate nerd, you went to CLG. So what was left? All of the outcasts. So that's what C9 was. And that's why, like, now with live events, like, CLG's gone. So, like, you lost all the passionate nerds. You lost all the rowdy and bunctious sports fans. And you're left with C9 fans who, like, I don't see them having C9 chants at stadiums, even whenever they're winning. Like, you still hear TSM for a reason. Like,
Yeah, in Newark, I'm pretty sure that the TSM like chants were louder than the C9 chants.
they were for a reason, because like I know people give me shit all the time for, like, wanting a sports environment, but the honest God truth is, like, that is the most fun for a live setting. And the TSM chants prove it. Of, like, even now when they're gone, you hear that chant and you get a little bit of chills in your body, and, like, it's just a different thing. Like, you hear all the Worlds 2022, TSM wasn't even there. TSM chants every day, and it brought the biggest smile to your face every time.
So in this analogy, what are 100 Thieves fans?
Oh, wow, what a great question. I would say for now, 100 Thieves fans are just diehard loyalists to Nadeshot and to the brand left over. I don't think we're in a state where we can build a solid brand identity until we know whether we're going to be around or not. I don't feel like we have one at the moment. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, it feels like majority of 100 Thieves fandom that I've seen, I don't want to sound egotistical, but, like, is kind of driven by, like, some of the narratives that I'm pushing out there to a certain extent. Obviously, they can say that it's LA identity, but I don't think it's that. I think it's that for Call of Duty, but, like, for League, I don't really get that perception. It doesn't really feel like there's anything tangible yet. And I think it's just because everything kind of died off over the last 2 to 3 years, and we're, like, still filling the gap. I would have told you it was like the cool guys club whenever Jordan and Cole and, like, the 100 Talk guys were there, whenever it was, like, you know, Courage doing collaborations with Ariana Grande and stuff like that. Like, cool, we have, like, Noah Lyles now, which is great, and we have a bunch of people that, like, genuinely like the org, but, like, it doesn't feel as cohesive as it used to. So I'm curious to see where we go going forward and see how that builds. But, like, for now, I can't honestly say we have, like, an identity yet, which is part of the problem.
If it were up to you, what would you make? Like, let's say 100 Thieves is here next year,
Yeah.
and, you know, they're in it for the long term. What would you like the fan identity to be?
100 Thieves might not like me saying this, but I would go full Project X. I'm assuming you've seen that movie, right? Yeah. Just guys that, like, you wouldn't expect to be able to throw, like, raging parties and, like, pack out areas, but yet we do. And, like, once you're in that environment, it's loud, it's rambunctious. It quite honestly resembles more TSM than anything else, but that's because we show up and we show out all the time. Like, I want us to be loud, proud, and in people's faces. Like, oh, you don't, like, oh, you call us a hoodie org? It's like, yeah, well, you couldn't buy one if you tried. So, like, sorry, that's on you, not on me. And we're going to wear it out. We're going to wear it walking around New York City, and people are going to see the logo and know what it is and be proud of it. Because I guarantee you, if I showed the 100 Thieves logo to a majority of people here, probably 3 people know what it is. That's being generous. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I feel like 100 Thieves, especially when they became like the hoodie org, did get very popular, at least in the East Coast. I don't know about the West Coast. I know they were trying to go for like LA Life, but I felt like their effect here in the East Coast, I personally felt it. I started seeing it like grocery shopping. There are people just wearing like 100 Thieves merch, which is, I don't know. I haven't heard stuff like that happening in LA, but maybe. So I think maybe more than 3, but you know, it's definitely not where, it's not like C9.
I'll be honest, I've seen more 100 Thieves merch than I have C9 in this city. I mean, I did content as early as 2021, like standing out here, like trying to get interviews with people. I've seen more 100 Thieves merch than I have C9 over the last 4 years.
I will say, I think that right now the best like merch team organization in the LCS is FlyQuest, and it's not even close.
I disagree, Team Liquid.
Team Liquid has cool collabs, sure, but I still think FlyQuest with their metamorphosis and the whole group are gonna outclass Team Liquid.
Let me ask you this, and I'm baiting you into a trap question. Where did you live at in New York?
Brooklyn.
What kind of, if you had to pick a borough that FlyQuest best represents, what borough would you say?
None of the above.
Bullshit. Brooklyn. 100%. Bro, 100 Thieves are like the Manhattan West Village, like
Yes,
upper
yeah.
elites. FlyQuest are very much like the Brooklyn, like the metamorphosis thing. Like it just screams.
Okay,
Brooklyn
yeah,
warehouse
that's
party.
yeah.
And then you have C9 who just feel like they're, for people that want to know what that is, even though it might get cut out, some dogs were fighting in the, oh yeah, C9 fans. Probably Queens. If I had to, if I had
That's
to
messed up though.
How? Flushing Meadow's nice.
I would not. Okay, C9 Mango, sure. Like maybe not in League.
I mean, they're, if I'm comparing them to like the social outcasts that are everybody, that's kind of the Mets.
Sure.
It's like the diehard fans there, fine, but like, I don't know, the Bronx, fucking Dignitas, maybe. I don't know. Well, Dignitas is Jersey, so I guess the Bronx would have to be, I don't know, Shopify, maybe.
Right now, yeah, probably.
You guys are, on the up and up, maybe.
I predict that we will be, or Shopify will be like a top 4 team within the next 3 years, and probably top 2 within the next 5.
Why? I mean, your roster definitely isn't going to be the reason you say that right now.
As an organization, I think we're one of the few places that actually want to like geolocate, and we have seen with sports how much of a power, like just being, hey, we are the city of Toronto, we are the gamers of Toronto.
Yeah.
And while like I'm not even close to there, I do envision myself like going down to Toronto probably twice a year for Shopify. They also have like a huge facility. I wouldn't be surprised if they host some ride events there and be like, hey, we have a home field, we might as well use it.
Would you move to Toronto if they asked you?
No, I wouldn't move anywhere. Like my entire my life is very stable. I wouldn't move.
Does that worry you then that a team would geolocate in an area that you're not in, that you're a fan of?
Not really, just because 95% of esports is all online. It's not like sports.
I get that, but like coming from the Call of Duty League, where Optic is now geolocated to Texas, there is a certain amount of disconnect that unfortunately does happen there, where you do feel like you are missing out on portions of that because it's not in your area. And you could try and host local fan meetups, and like that's fine, but like if you want the full Shopify experience and they're in Toronto, you need to be in Toronto.
I think the Toronto sport, like esports enthusiasm is enough, even if they don't get a lot of the other like United States or East Coast fans. I still think just through Canada, they could be a top 2 org.
Fair, and I do want to make this caveat that when I'm saying this to Cloud, I'm saying this with the expectation that you were a content creator and you would get to the point where you would possibly want to be part of the org and you have a higher role, which is different than your everyday fan who can obviously be a fan anywhere and like enjoy that portion of it no matter where you're at. So like your case for me is different than everybody else's.
Here's the thing. Even if I was part of Shopify, I feel like most stuff you could do virtually that I would want to do to begin with. And then the stuff that I can't, I don't mind flying out twice a month.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll figure something out.
I mean, I hope so. I need you to become the face of the brand, so I have somebody to banter with whenever we actually play. Because, as fun as bantering with, like, faceless parts of the org are, if I have directly somebody to go through whenever I'm shit-talking, it makes it so much better.
It actually, one of the questions that I kept getting were people DMing me, how do you feel for David? And I was like, what do you mean? Just ask David how he feels. What do you mean? How do I feel for David? People thought I'd be pissed, like mad at you. And I'm like, why would I be mad that his team did well?
Wait, they thought you'd be mad at me for 100 Thieves doing well.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you're going to be salty or something. I was like, no, I did make that video and called it like the fast approaching death of 100 Thieves, but that's because we were playing them. Like moving forward, I don't have anything against 100 Thieves. Or like I like you as a guy, and I think you're a very important content creator, especially at 100 Thieves. Like I think the past 2, maybe 3 years, you've done more for 100 Thieves than any of their signed content creators, at least in the League of Legends scene. So,
I mean, we only have Mo, and I would say Courage does the most. I think Courage, like in terms of him being on broadcast, all of the different things that he has done interacting with the LCS over the last 2 years, like even if it's not a lot, those times that he does is more effective than anything I could ever personally do, just by nature of his reach. Noah Lyle's probably second right now in the 2 weeks that he has been publicly like out there and about. But then to give myself like any level of credit, I would go third. But I don't like you get involved with egos, and I don't no. I try not to.
you're one of the most influential. Like especially for your size, you are influencing more than what a creator your size should or normally averages in terms of influence.
Okay, question for you on that front. You started making consistent content after LCS finals last year.
Yes.
You have grown substantially since that point, probably faster than any other league content creator starting from the ground up that is in the industry right now. What has that journey been like for you on the way up? Because I've been in your shoes. I know where that feeling is. Like when you start growing. For me, it was on TikTok, but for you, it's on YouTube. Like, what's that feeling like?
I don't want to say it's imposter syndrome, but I don't think I'm where I do. Like I feel like I am at a higher level than I should be or was expecting to be. So from the start of LCS until the end of MSI, I was the fastest growing League of Legends like YouTube channel under I think it was like under 60,000 subs, which is crazy. Like yeah, I know it was just like a few months, but still.
Congrats though. That's massive.
Yeah, after MSI, like it tapered off, and it's where I thought it would be to begin with. But yeah, that stretch of like spring split into MSI, it's just a lot of things happened where MSI schedule was like rough. A lot of people decided not to do it. I was one of the people who was doing it. I was doing it better than the other people that were doing it. It's just yeah, one thing led to another, and I had videos that were reaching tens of thousands of views when I had I had like 1,000 subscribers. Like that shouldn't happen consistently to someone my size. So it's
You say it shouldn't, but it realistically should. Like the scenario, the entire situation lined up perfectly for you to just skyrocket in that moment.
sorry, it doesn't usually happen. Not that it shouldn't.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So part of it was like, okay, I must realistically expect this not to keep happening, and like it didn't keep happening, and that's fine. But it's also like I wanted this year to be a learning year. I really didn't expect people to even know my name, or to be doing something like this. And so for me, it was like I need to learn because I don't know what good content is yet, and I think I've slowly started tapping into what good content is. And so for me, it's like I'm still on my journey to find out what type of content I want to make. And like interviews are cool, and I really enjoy doing them. And I know a lot of people have come up to me and just like DM me and tell me like, the reason we like your interviews is because you're like a fan doing the questions. You're not asking like generic questions. You're like, imagine a gold player. I'm not gold, but imagine a gold player getting to ask his favorite pro like, hey, what do you build on like Kaisa?
Yep.
It's very similar to that. And at the end of my interviews, I usually just like give my 2 cents on how I felt during the interview or what I was thinking, if I felt like I did something wrong. And I feel like that really resonated with people. And so that was something where I was like, okay, I want to keep that genuine, like, I'm not a journalist, I'm not media, I'm a fan who just happened to be able to ask his favorite players questions. So I think that's an identity that I want to keep, but I'm still trying to like refine that identity. That's where I'm at right now.
So, early idea of what do you think your goal is going to be for next year? For year 2 of Cloud Sticky on YouTube, on social media, like really becoming kind of like a full-blown content creator. What do you want to have happen by the end of 2025?
Ooh, by the end of 2025, I wanna have a constant co-host for Disputing Everything. I want ideally like an ex-pro, a coach, something like that. I want someone more involved in the scene, just so that when I throw out my ridiculously stupid ideas, they can be like, no, I was on that team. That's not how that works. It's one thing to be like, oh, C9 was looking to get rid of Blabber before everyone was talking about getting rid of Blabber. Like when they were still undefeated, I was saying like, oh, Blabber's probably gone. Yeah. And it was a stupid take, honestly. Now that they didn't make Worlds, it makes sense. But back then it was like a really stupid take.
In hindsight, it looks hella good.
It does look good. But then I would have loved it if the person on the other side was like, oh, I've worked with Blabber. The things that you're criticizing him for are actually false. Or like, actually, you hit the nail on the head. You don't even know what's happening internally. So I think that's pretty cool.
So you kind of want a pro in the Joe type situation.
Yeah, I think I would like for something like that. And then I learned the importance of streaming. I didn't know how important it was or how much it could affect my image publicly. And so probably do a little bit more streaming, find like a constant co-host, and probably do more edited videos like narratives, probably for Shopify, but for specific teams or players. Like I did one for Fake God that did relatively well. I think that's actually one of the things that started my career was I had a Fake God video. It's called like Fake God, a story of imposter syndrome. And I thought the first 60 seconds were really good. Afterwards, like I wasn't a very good editor, but I thought it started off really good, and that's what started a lot of people like reaching out to me. So I think more like features, I guess, is something I really want to get into.
It's good to know. I just like asking this question because I feel like some people have a very clear image in their mind of like where they want to go and what the 1 year plan is, what the 5 year plan is. Some people are just kind of like figuring out as they make each individual video, and sometimes you need to be able to step back and like have a clear directive of where you want to try and go, where you want to try and aim things. So I always like asking that.
Actually, interesting fact, I had zero intentions of doing interviews. I reached out to people just so that I could talk to them because I just wanted to talk League.
Yeah.
And then I posted it on YouTube, even though that wasn't like my thing at that time. And people liked it, and people liked it more than the other stuff that I was doing. And so I was like, I'll just keep posting it. And when I got my media pass, I wasn't going to upload all my videos, like interviews. If one did well, sure, I felt like it was a good interview. But I was like, what am I going to lose for uploading them? And then now we're here.
Now you're the biggest interviewer in the LCS right now.
Travis is still there.
On video, no. Like you do more work in terms of getting like total content out there. Travis, like he uploads some, but like he hasn't been consistent all year with it.
Yeah, there have been like I think the first 2 weeks he didn't upload. I think the other weeks he uploaded one video a week, and there was 1 week where he did two, but I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So you've become the go-to interview source for now, at least video. Like whenever I think of like post-game interviews, like you were the first channel that comes to mind. Degon was another for a while there, but now that he's gone, obviously that can't be the case. And then who is it?
Mihir?
Yeah, thank you. He's the other one that I think is like really starting up coming or get his foot in the ground on that front.
Honestly, I would have loved if Mihir stuck with his like what did he call it? He has like one where he brings the pro player on the system on the couch. I forgot what it was called, but like I feel I'm not against him like doing interviews and whatnot. I just feel like when he does his prep and actually like has like slideshows and stuff, it's actually quite entertaining. And like seeing the pros' reaction, Speaker's reaction to his haircuts and like having to rate his haircuts, that's something like I wish I could do, but I can't. And like when I saw him do that, I was like, man, I'm so happy for this guy. That's what he should be doing. And then when he started doing interviews, it'll be good for practice, for sure, to get comfortable and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like he should double down. Like he should do both, but double down on his actual like podcast thing.
If you're watching this, if you end up seeing this at all, do me a favor, go watch every single episode of Tosh.0. Okay? Watch that show, learn it to the T, and you'll just try modeling a few episodes after it. You'll thank me later.
I haven't watched it, but now I gotta watch it as well.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. But it's like that type of thing where like he's a comedian first, but then like we'll do interviews, but like it is going into it that it's going to be purely comedy the entire time. And he used to do like a series that I don't think anybody's tapped into yet in League is like Web Dead Redemptions was the thing they used to do. Like before like viral videos and like social media kind of like diluted that, he would bring in people who had like epic fails on a massive scale and recreate the moment so that they could overcome it, but he's doing it like in such a comedic way that it's like laughs the entire time. Put Spica on the map and like have him try and do like a 9-man sleep again to like overcome the demons of like the path. Like there's for most pros there's like bad moments in their career that like everybody kind of like points back to.
Bring double lift and have a Victor in the mid lane.
Yeah, just like taunt him with it, or like and have like a whole training montage of like him like working on small things that are like tangentially related. Like if he has to, like for example, have him go play laser tag with you and like work on dodging lasers to make sure that like you're prepped. So then like it all builds up to this moment in game of can he do it, and then just have him die to a Victor laser and end the video just like that. Like nope, didn't overcome it. Sorry, it is what it is.
That's hilarious. Or you have like an obstacle course where he has to like get to Baron as fast as possible without being distracted. They have just like I don't know, some sort of distractor on the side.
Content's got a long way to go in the League space, but I'm telling you, there's room to grow out there.
If you would ask me like what my 10-year goal is to like completely elevate the level of content in League of Legends, because I think we have not even tapped into anything. Like our content creators suck. I'm sorry, but like we all suck so bad. You look at content creators outside of League of Legends, like they're doing so many creative things, and we're so stuck with like the same thing. We haven't innovated. We haven't had anybody push push us forward, and that's one thing that I would love to happen.
See, the problem is like I don't think about content in that same way. Like I can tell that like your passion lies with content. My passion is outside of that, and content is like a means to an end. I feel like to use the worst possible example, I feel like a culture vulture. I feel like Justin Timberlake like trying to take over R&B and just like preying on it, because like as much as I enjoy making content, like if I had a dream, and like the whole point of all this for me is like to get involved with like the decision making with orgs, and like to get 20,000 people at Madison Square Garden like all cheering our team's name, and like by all means you can do that partially through content, but you can also do that by being a part of the business. And like that's where the goal has always been, to like get into the business. But I've enjoyed the outlet that content gives me to talk about things, but I'm not out here worried about like the quality of my videos. Like at the end of the day, it's like if I tell an interesting story, the quality doesn't matter. Like you can have some edits that sure would spruce it up, but like I don't have enough time. I don't.
I'll give you. You're a finance guy, so I'll give you how my brain works. Content is marketing. Marketing is brand. Brand is sales.
Sure, and I agree with that, but it's like when you throw time into the equation, what takes priority? Do the small additions to improving content in terms of like editing, some of the things that you can cut in, are those important? Or is just making the best story possible that people will listen to better?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I just mean like if you're an organization and you have like a budget, right? And you want to put that like some sort of marketing budget, I think that marketing budget goes into content. And then if any content like over indexes or something, you can run that as an ad. And all of a sudden you don't have to have a marketing, like running certain like ads here or there or whatever you want to do it. I know different companies have like different structures nowadays, like compared to how it used to work. But I just think like it scratches both itches that you need, like both sales and marketing. And I think like with social media nowadays, they're kind of combined. They're merged, and I don't think people have utilized that.
No, I would agree. And that kind of plays into the whole idea that like, and Travis told me this at Worlds 2022, is like the best thing you can do for yourself right now is try to become a content creator yourself, become a personality in the space. And that, you can be a personality without being necessarily a content creator, but you need to be a personality that people like will pay attention to, listen to, and like be able to drive people to do things. Obviously, you need to be able to drive people. Like I'm with Elgato right now. Like you have to be able to drive a certain amount of sales. I always say like I know the number that they pay me not each and every year, it's the first year. I know the number they pay me for the entire year. My goal is to make enough sales back for them so that I've proven my worth. Like in theory, you're not losing money on me, which in theory you should for marketing. You're paying for marketing. You should lose a little bit, but like I'd rather prove my worth that way. And like if I can prove that dollar amount, then fine. But like, oh, that is a tiny mouse running by.
So here's my question, because I don't know if Elgato does this, but I've asked around, and I've heard that people don't actually like have metrics of tracking performance. So you sign a content creator, and it's so easy to just have a link and being able, like Elgato can see how many people clicked on your specific link. Do you have access to that information?
Yes, fully. I can see every data point you could think of. I can see.
I guess the only data points you couldn't see are the people that ended up buying it Elgato because they saw you, they trust you, and then when they finally decided, subconsciously they saw another Elgato ad and they only got it because initially they saw yours. That gets more complicated, but
sure. But like if you're doing an effective job of like being a content creator and like having people buy because of you, they will go through your link, buy through your code. Like there is an element of like you do need to be able to cross the finish line in addition to getting them to that point in the first place to be able to convert for brands. And like I hate to say it, but like content creators, like our job is to sell products to a certain extent. And like, luckily I would only ever partner with brands that I trust. So like I'm with Verizon and Elgato now. I use Verizon products for my phone. I use Elgato for literally everything other than the products that they don't make. So it's like that to me is big. But like you very much are like in the business of selling. And like you've got to be able to sell. You got to push some units.
do you feel like it's a brand compromise? Now we're getting to like content creation, but do you feel like it's a compromise of like your brand? Because you can do two things, right? You can call action for stuff that like benefit you, and you could also call to action for something that would benefit a brand. And aren't you giving up part of your stake if you're, I mean, they're paying you, but at the end of the day, does it like stunt your growth?
No, I don't think so. I think you should be able to grow alongside them. I think if it's a good partnership and a good brand deal, you will both grow together because it's a good product on their side that they're trying to sell to the average consumer. And on your side, it's a useful product that you can use that also helps elevate your status.
Okay, now tell me why, like, LCS organizations don't get that?
Because I think that's a complicated. I mean, for the short answer is they took venture capital money beyond the means of which they should have actually taken in, because Riot set a standard at a certain dollar amount. All of that money came in, all the money went to player salaries, and now you're left trying to just scrape together any money you can because you're losing hand over fist. So
Well, I mean, with content creators specifically, like,
I just don't think they do a good job of signing content creators that believe in their brand first. I don't get the impression that half the content creators in certain orgs like genuinely are fans of that org. You can say that you're, Team Liquid X person or Cloud9 Y person. The Cloud9 Meteos we know is Cloud9 Meteos. He's a great example of like somebody that's perfect for the brand. But like using 100 Thieves and like my side of things as a good example, like I don't get the impression that Yasuo is a 100 Thieves fan. A League of Legends 100 Thieves fan, and he's a League of Legends content creator for 100 Thieves. So like, put it this way, if I was to join 100 Thieves today, do you think it would be a good signing? Like, do you think like the values align?
the values, absolutely, yeah.
If you were to join 100 Thieves right now, do you think it's a good signing? Do you think your values align?
I wouldn't agree to signing. Like, even if they offered me, I'd be like, this is stupid on your end. Sorry.
Because you're also selfless in the sense that like you understand like good deals or not, and you understand what's going to be best for your image, and will always push that. There are people that will just do it for the dollar.
Well, no, like
Also-
it would kill my. I would not bring the value that 100 Thieves would want, and that would like kill my. And then the next team that wants to sign me, they'd be like, oh, how did you do on 100 Thieves? I'd be like, oh, I sold $0 in a quarter, and like, what do I say then?
Because it's not genuine in
Yeah.
the same way that it would be for Shopify. And like that, you cannot fake honesty and sincerity. If you are genuinely passionate about something, it will come through without you having to even try. And that's the one thing that I feel like has always come across through in my content is like, I'm very honest, I'm very genuine with what I say. We might not agree. I might piss you the hell off with what I say. That's fine. You know that I believe what I say. And when it comes to LCS orgs and content creators, I don't get the feeling that people are genuine with what they care about, the products they're promoting, and everything around the space. I feel like half the content creators in the space just want out, but haven't figured out what else they want to do, so they just kind of stay around and hang around for a bit.
So then it's more of an issue with the people that are doing the signings than content creators themselves.
Yeah, but they've been told by an upper executive that they have to sign a certain amount of content creators because they have to be able to sell certain brand deals in order to make a certain amount of money, rather than accepting that, maybe we just accept that we're going to be in a loss for 5 years and then eventually start building. Like, what's the actual legitimate runway rather than what we think it needs to be in 5 years?
How do you think we fix that, or is it just time?
The money has to leave. I mean, it's already leaving
The
now.
money is not there. Yeah.
I mean, it's already pretty much gone, but like, it sucks to say, but like, you have to reduce this down to absolute bare bones. Not Riot, don't use that as an example to fire any more freaking people. I'm talking on the org side. You gotta drop this down to just the skin and bones of it, where there's no money, or at least the money that's there is fair to the value that we bring in. And from there, just let passion drive it. That's what built everything up in the first place, and that's where we got to get back to. But it's hard to go, it's hard to move from a studio apartment to a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom and then force yourself back into a studio and be happy with it. You have to bring a whole nother wave of people that were never accustomed to the other thing. Or if people are willing to go from the studio to the 2-bedroom to the studio, then fine. By all means, still be part of it. But there's so many people that aren't. And their grass is greener on the other side, that's fine. Go to the other side at this point. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I've always had problem with. I normally put the blame on management. So like, I don't blame the C9 roster for failing. I actually blame like whoever didn't provide enough coaching staff, or whoever like made the roster change. Like in general, I go above even the coach. Like the coach had less than a full, I guess, one full split between Mithy and then a full split, whereas Golden Glue had a full year. And like maybe he did more. Maybe if Mithy had a whole year, he would have been able to improve more. Maybe if they didn't get rid of Fudge and like he got back into for me, I tend to not look at like the little guy, and I'm not saying the players are little, but just like I don't.
Labra is kind of short.
Yeah, he's also tiny. He's like 90 pounds or something. Yeah, but I tend to look at like, okay, who's the chief marketing officer? Who's the person involved in like your social media manager? Like I tend to look at these people, and when I see them hiring people and the people making videos, they get less views than my worst interviews. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, either they're not being paid enough and so they're producing crap, or the people that are like supposed to judge them or hire them are not firing them fast enough or not giving them feedback. Maybe they're the ones like, that's what we want, you know? That's why I like Immortals, for example. I think their content sucks, but at the end of the day, am I gonna say like fire the person? Sure, I might say it like hyperbolically, fire the person who made that video, but it's more like fire the person who approved this, fire the person who didn't fire the person who didn't like push back and say like, oh, that is not acceptable for us, for our standards, for our partner standards, our sponsors. So I think it's like, until we get a bunch of people who are like endemic to content creation and like social media actually being marketers on these teams, I don't think that it'll change even when the Muddy leaves.
I guess final question I have for you then, that's kind of related to that. Do you get weary about saying that people should be fired or lose their job or shrinkage?
I will say it hyperbolically, but I will never be like, fire, fire Mithy or fire Blab, or players sometimes, sure, but like, I guess in general, players will always find another job, but very rarely will I say, oh, you should fire this person, just because, like, again, I'm much more comfortable saying fire the GM or fire the person who hired the GM. Like, I would, sorry, Papa Smithy, like, I love you. I would feel more comfortable saying fire Papa Smithy or Andrew Barton. Not Andrew Barton, sorry. Who's the GM right now of FlyQuest?
Yeah,
It's Andrew Barton? Oh, yeah. Or fire Andrew Barton. Then I will say, like, fire Nuke Duck or fire Mithy or fire someone like that, just because they're the ones at the end of the day who you give them 3 or 4 years, and if they don't prove themselves, at least moving in a direction that makes sense, then it doesn't matter who they hire, because like they're the ones doing the hiring. So I tend to look at the people who are doing the hiring, and I don't see I do see, don't just say it for fun, but I think at some point someone needs to take responsibility. And if it's always the lower guy that's taking responsibility and the people that are hiring that aren't being blamed, then I don't know, it irks me in the wrong way. I would much rather put the blame on the higher ups.
I mean, I've publicly come out and said multiple people need to be removed from their jobs and give an exit plan. So I just, it's something I think about, because like you make similar videos to what I've made on that front, where like you were dissecting Immortals and like seeing what's wrong, and like you do have to pin blame, and like in my eyes you have to suggest action. I'm not a fan of like making those types of videos where you point out a problem and you don't give a solution. And if the solution is that we need a change in position, then you need a change in position. And like, I'm not going to sit here and dance around and be like, there was a point last year where Team Liquid was in a rough spot prior to bringing an APA. They finished 7th in spring, and I made a whole video called the Team Liquid problem that was based around is it Kane, I think?
It was Marin.
No, who's the GM of...
Dodo.
Oh, Dodo, thank you. Is Dodo a problem? Like, does Dodo need to be fired from his job? Like, that was basically the whole thing of the video. It was like 10 minutes of, does Dodo need to be fired? And it's like, I feel bad for saying it, but at the same, like, it's just, I don't know, it's better than just being like, hey, TL has a problem. I don't know, I don't personally want to hear about problems and not hear a solution to it. Even if that will, burn some bridges for me, probably within Riot, probably within some orgs. I don't know.
I think we need people who burn bridges when it's like necessary, because I think it does affect people. Like when you say that stuff, people hear it and people see it, and like maybe they won't comment about it, but that the next time Dodo goes into a meeting with Steve and Steve watched your video, it's gonna affect him. And so I think, like, sure, you might have lost like 1 or 2 bridges, but you can actually affect change. And I think like that's the only way we're gonna get to a place where League of Legends is fan based and not just like whatever it is now, is if we make it an issue and the people start making it an issue, and all of a sudden it's like unavoidable. So who are we calling for? Whose head are we calling for? You don't need to answer that.
Whoever is continuously making the decision that one roadshow is fine for now, whether it's within the LEC, the LCS, or Riot Global, just know I hate you. I won't sit here and say that you need to lose your job, even though I've publicly already said that John Needham and Chris Greeley, and by all means, I've talked to Chris Greeley privately. I love the guy in terms of the conversations that we've had. But like, if we're looking at the business decisions, like, I don't know, whoever's responsible for those changes, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. We don't agree on the same direction, and you might bluntly put, like, I just want somebody in there that agrees with like my philosophy on it. because I think my way in terms of growing sports fandom and like making sure that we are constantly in person with people is the way to go. And if we fundamentally disagree, then that's going to be impossible to work with.
You know what my problem is? This will be quick. You know Harry Mack?
Yep.
He went from just being this like guy who does some rap in like a small little room or whatever to like exploding and having his own concerts and stuff like that, just off TikTok. And then he moved on to like other stuff, and I think he does YouTube now as well. But like his growth was something to be studied on like how he attempted so many different things and he stuck with it, and it worked. And I feel like we don't have that in the league space where people look at what actually succeeds in tangentially like related things, because he's a personality that was doing videos that was able to turn it into like live stadium events.
Yep.
And I feel like if we just studied that a little bit more and did that for like League of Legends, you know, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel using things that don't apply when we literally have so many different examples?
Can you study it, or does that have to come naturally?
Oh, you absolutely can study it.
I see, that's where I think I disagree to a certain extent. I think you can study it and improve upon certain things that come natural, but I think the ability to turn out a crowd like that, you have to have a naturally entertaining personality and like a natural persona that would drive people out.
Well, I think once you have a brand, people attach themselves to brands more than you can attach people easier to a brand than to an individual person. And I think Team Liquid really wants to do that, and I think they're maybe succeeding a little bit now, but I think for the past 3 or 4 years they have been like gloriously failing.
I agree. APA is a good building block to have around. I just want to see a content creator become like the face of TL alongside that.
Yeah, I mean, obvious person to look at is Miss Chim Chim.
I mean, they already have Mid Beast as well. I just would love to see Mid Beast be.
Oh, that's more than one.
Oh, bro, that's like a family of rats.
Yeah, I thought it was just one.
It might be time to wrap this shit up. Any final words?
No, this is awesome. We should do this more often.
I'm down, even if you can't see us. Thank you all for watching. I'm not sure how we're going to divvy this up with channels, but we'll find out.